So this first video is going to be about how to build a web application with GenAI in it. So the application that we're going to be using to build this web app is Streamlit. Streamlit is a platform that can be used to deploy web applications on. There's no front end logic needed. Simply create your application, use the Streamlit commands, and you are able to deploy it. So the first thing we're going to do is create our title. I titled it Data Assistant, but feel free to title it whatever you want in your own project. There's no specifics to it. And then next, for this particular project, we're going to create a sidebar. Now, with this sidebar, we're going to use it for anyone, whether it's yourself or anyone else in your company, anyone else in your friend group, to instead use their own OpenAI API key to access this application for their own analysis and to have their own data assistant for their projects, for their work, whatever it may be. So we're going to state on this sidebar that in order to access this application, you will need an OpenAI API key. Just as a disclaimer for anyone who has access to this application that you're going to end up building. So this is just me making sure that we are establishing that ask and making sure that everyone is able to enter in their own API key. We're going to create the text input command to allow the user to enter in and give some specifics of just to enter your own API key. Self-explanatory. On this one, I added a link to this for anyone who is in need of generating their own API key. You are able to do this in the Streamlit app. And I added if you are looking to generate that key, here is the link. And here's kind of me establishing that to make sure that anyone can kind of generate their own. I think I had to copy and paste the link for this. Ah, yes, copy and paste. Make sure you add your quotations outside of the brackets rather than inside. Let's check it to make sure everything works. Nice. So Streamlit is able to run. That is good news. So let's continue on and let's keep building within the same command, shall we? Put in a little if statement real quick. Now, this if statement is to make sure that whenever a user does include their own API key into the application, that it is sent to OpenAI for them to access this app to make sure that everyone who gets access is able to use it. Now, I know OpenAI has had a few changes um, within the past year or two to the format of um, how their model is supposed to be set up when using the client key. Make sure to check in the API documentation to make sure that everything is up to date and there isn't any changes from the time of this recording or from the time of this guide to make sure that you are still following along the same lines as the documentation. And let's kind of add that piece here where the user is going to be able to enter in their CSV file, whether it's any type of data that they're looking to get um, looked at or any type of analysis on, and make sure this file gets uploaded to the UI to then be seen. Now, the idea behind this is within this app, once a user adds their API key, their own API key, they're able to upload their own CSV file that is able to be processed and described using descriptional statistics, as well as having this application be able to tell you what variable within your data may have the most insights. What is the most valuable variable that could probably offer the most insights for your analysis? We will build also a chart within this application so that if a user does end up using it, they're able to take that possibly informative variable and do and place it to do a quick analysis on what that data might look like, what the data points may look like, what the scatter plot may look like, so forth and so on. Now, as you can see, we're adding the descriptive statistics here for the data to be described. And like you see right here, I added the describe command for the data, which is a function that is able to kind of, without us having to create all these statistical formulas to um, give those details, the describe command can definitely do it automatically without the need for any other extra mental energy. And so this most informative variable, this piece here is very important. Um, this is what's going to be the output to how that most informative variable, the one that might have the most insights, this right here is what's going to give you that. So as you can see, I'm placing in some extra context, saying that the variable that may offer the most information is probably whatever is determined by that command. Nice. Okay, so let's also create a way for the user to enter in whatever variable they want to use that is offered within their data set. So for example, if there's 10 columns within the data set, they're able to choose in those 10 columns to decide what they want to see as variable X and variable Y, which can then be used in their charting. Now, as you can see in the top, the packages that are used, make sure, just in case, to use pip install if needed um, for installing these packages, especially for Streamlit or Plotly, or even for the OpenAI package. You may have to use pip for that. Just a side note. This is me setting up the scatter plot that is going to be used for the analysis. Rather than just writing it. Let's make it easier for everyone and just copy and paste it. Nice. Okay, let's keep going. Let's create this chart even more. Let's add some colors, characteristics to it, um, stuff like that. We're going to use the Plotly package for this. And then here's us creating the GPT assistant. Now, this assistant can be used to ask questions about your data, ask questions about your columns, um, ask questions about the statistics of your data. Now, this assistant can really answer anything at your beck and call about your data, or just anything you want to deep dive into a topic about your data. It really is up to you. And like I said, just want to point out again, based on the time of this video, OpenAI may have changed their formatting of how to connect to the model. For this, we're connecting to GPT 3.5, I believe. Um, Again, just be aware that the setup of the connection may have changed, and kind of make sure you refer to the API documentation for that. Now, the setup for the response from the model can be kind of tricky and can look kind of funny, especially with the messages variable. Um, just make sure to be aware that depending on how you want to set up the application, you will have to read through the documentation in OpenAI to figure out maybe if you want to expand on the question, expand on the model, expand on how you want the model to answer questions. There will be some tweaking that you may have to do to get it just the way you like it. So let's keep going real quick and let's try to finish this up. Ooh, yes, make sure you check for errors. Make sure you pay attention to the lines, and make sure you do your best to correct whatever is needed. Ah, that needs to be a comma right there. Nice. Let's see if it runs now. Cool. So saving it, then go to your files, um, see if that downloaded PI file is within your downloads, copy the path of that file and place it in your command prompt and do this command. Um, and then you should see where it pops up, the UI for it. You'll see the sidebar to your left, and you can enter in your OpenAI API key, put in whatever data you want. As you can see, it pops up with the descriptive statistics associated with it. You see where it asks for the informative variable. Use that, use it for your data, use it for your analysis, and you can see how GPT reacts. Nice.